Hello and welcome to Drunk Tolk. I'm your host Ross, and you're very welcome to the Lord of the Rings, I suppose you'd say, world famous podcast here with regards to cans and shite talk. Joined by the usual crew after last week's, highly unusual lineup. How are the lads?
Good. How are you?
Good. What are you drinking?
Nice. Yes. On the hot whiskies, actually. A touch under the weather this week. Nothing more nefarious than an old man flu, though. I got tested, so I don't have the Rona. And I don't even have the symptoms, but I have a stuffy nose, a sore throat, that kind of way, Bull.
He looks terrible to all our listeners who can't see him.
Thanks.
Absolutely.
Thanks. Well, just for that, I'll come to you last. Oh, Sheen, how are you?
Very well.
Good stuff. Good to see you.
Good to see you too. Haven't seen you in a while.
I know. Yeah. You're sorely missed there last week.
Oh yeah, I'd say. I was just thinking there. Who did the countdown like? Must have been a whole different experience.
Oh, it was chaos. It was chaos. It was absolute chaos. And did you do your homework?
Oh, I did. Yeah.
Yeah. What are you drinking?
Tonight, I've had it before. Holston Pills. I have more cans of it.
Holston Pills.
Yeah, this thing. I had it before on the pod.
Right.
I don't even know what it was. Was it Czech? Danish? I can't remember what it was. I didn't read it again.
You've had a few already, have you? Yeah, mad bastard, yeah.
It's fine.
Right,
I can't wait for Oisin to be the spokesperson for Holston Pills. He's the only person I know who's ever drank it.
Yeah. Don't think I ever heard of it until he came on the scene, to be honest. So our next guest here, you all know him really. He's a stalwart. I think he's the only person in the pod that so far has 100% attendance record. And that is, a big Boolabus, big round of applause. That is the kind of dedication that you would expect from a Catholic fundamentalist. It's the General O'Duffy. How are you?
Grand, no bother.
Good stuff. Did you do your homework?
I did my homework, yeah. Big read this time.
Good read, you'd say?
A good read. They're always a good read.
Read.
Do you want to explain? Does someone, I think, now want to take the time to explain what a good read is? Where does it come from? Why do we say it? Owen, do you want to go for this or what?
So, we were all playing FIFA one time. And when we play each other in FIFA, if ever someone, reads the game well, takes the ball off you, good interception rate, something like that, you'd say to your opponent, good read. But Bull came along one day and Bull was playing one of us. And Bull got the ball himself off one of whoever he was playing. But he gave it to himself. He said, good read. And the other looked at him like, no, you can't do that.
Yeah.
That's not right.
I remember that. I think he was playlaying me as well.
Self-praise is no praise.
Exactly, yeah. And I'd say, Bull, really, you're not really a big soccer man either. So,
no.
I know you
do like FIFA though.
You like your FIFA.
I like playing ball.
I
just don't like watching ball.
And I think, it probably takes you a little while to get up to speed with the reading of the game maybe. So you were maybe just didn't realise you were speaking aloud. You're coming to grips. Oh, good read.
I'm proud of myself. I'm not going to get a fucking compliment from you guys. So No,
it's a bad read. I come here, Owen.
Well, we got a good fucking line out of it anyway.
We did. Owen, what do you reckon?
I'm on the Blue Moon. I think it was on the pod already. I think Daggy had it before.
Yeah.
But I'm fucking running out of beers to drink and bring on that's new, so I'm on the Blue Moon. I remember it being better than I'm tasting now, to be honest.
It needs an orange slice.
Yeah, it needs something. I
was about to ask, any citrus in there now?
No citrus, no. It tastes a bit like fucking detergent or something.
How do you know what detergent tastes like?
I have some there. I'll take a shot of now and then
just to keep you
clean.
Please say, do not drink detergent, fans. Please, we
good
need
for the
everyone
cold.
We can get listening to the podcast. Don't go drinking detergent. Fuck's sake. Right, good stuff.
Pop a few aerial pods, it'll be grand the next day.
All right, that's enough of you. Right, moving on. Bull, how are you?
I'm good, thanks. Are you well?
Yeah, tops. Thanks for asking me why I was drinking nice and early. That was a nice touch.
I know, just get it out of the way.
Yeah, well, how do you make your hot whiskies?
We actually have those cloves.
Yep.
Not powder cloves. We throw the
stems.
Cloves. Well, Rachel likes to make an ale hot whiskey and she makes a good one. So you get the hot water, essential.
Yep.
You get the whiskey.
All right.
Yeah. A glass is also needed.
I used a cup, but okay.
We have these like double insulated coffee cups that we get to see all the juice things going around. So we get a bit of juice from a lemon, the the stuff in the container. It's not fresh.
Like the
Yeah, the
pancake
lemon
lemon
shaped
juice.
thing.
Yeah. And then the cloves. It's handy to have the lemon and the
So
lime.
what
and
I
that.
do now, I slice
honey.
the lemon and then I stick 3 cloves into the lemon slice. Like I pierce them. And then, I get the Boyne Valley honey and I destroy the lemon in the honey before I put the whiskey on top of it then. That's what I would do,
Nice. Yeah,
That's the
I
same
forgot
as
the
me,
honey.
yeah.
But sometimes we use syrup.
We were only talking last week about fake Irish medicines that don't work, and surely a hot whiskey for a flu or a cold is like right up there at the top. Like we give it to children, like
Yeah. Hot 7-Up. Flat hot 7-Up as well.
flats.
I heard you don't give a shite about children. Ross.
Unless they want drinks, then I'm all aboard. Unless they're looking smokes or drinks, typically.
Yeah.
You said that online, Ross. Now that's out there for the world to hear.
So
Ross is outside Willie Fagan's asking kids if they want cigarettes.
And Bull, did I ask you what you're drinking?
You didn't. Tonight's tipple is the illustrious Coors Light.
Nice.
Identity theft is a serious crime, Bull.
Ross.
It was left over in the house. I'm drinking a lot of Heineken, but I had 1 Coors I was keeping for this moment.
Unbelievable. And is it good? Is it all right?
I think when it's cold from a bottle like that,
Grand.
it's nice.
It ticks that box. Yeah. I like the ads as well, where it's just like everything I do is fresh, and some guy is like just pelting through like snow up a mountain, pretending to swim.
Is it that movie about the politician Harvey Milk with Sean Penn, where they talk about why there's only Coors Light and no Coors?
Explain.
It was like Coors did some like homophobic thing or something. They got banned, and then they had to like take Coors off the market because it couldn't be sold. So now that's why there's only Coors Light.
Jesus.
I think it was
big a
Milk.
band?
I think it was that movie. It was something like that, and it was definitely a homophobic thing. Actually, now it might definitely not be that at all.
Yeah.
But anyway, there's a story there. Get in touch with us on social media, guys. Let us know. Right, so chapter 13, which is also technically, according to Tolkien, book 2. Well, of course, it's only halfway through book 1 as you buy it. And it is called Many Meetings. Lads, it was a bit wordy, you'd say. Not a lot of action, a lot of chit-chat. Probably my favourite chapter so far.
You say that every time.
So good though, so good. And straight out the gate, like, it's so good because my main man is back. Gandalf, baby. Back in town. Owen. What do you like?
Oh yeah. Good to have him back. Good to have him
People's
back.
champion.
You missed him for a few chapters there.
I love him.
But Frodo wakes up. Do we have
Wait, we stop there,
review?
yeah. Who's doing?
whatever's
Have you
called.
just volunteered yourself for the 20-second summary, have you?
I guess so, yeah.
Go!
Right, go.
Can't be down. Right. Frodo's stabbed. They bring him to Rivendell. Wakes up. Gandalf's there. He goes round, chats to a few lads because it's many meetings. He meets Bilbo, and that's it.
17 seconds.
Not bad.
There's a lot more to be said. This is getting ridiculous.
Very good. Yeah, I mean there was a feast. There was a feast.
I
in
missed it.
there.
I missed a load, but that's
Yeah, a bit of a lot of chatting, a lot of kind of data dumps. You'd say a lot of backstory. If you're a Lord of the Rings nerd, which I am.
A lot of recognising people. Oh, that's what she looks like. I've heard a lot about her.
Yeah. And even the songs that are in there give a lot of kind of backstory, and we'll get into that as we
What a
go,
song.
lads. But straight out the
I
gate.
think we go off topic a lot and we go into detail about things and our own opinions. So I think we should say, like, who did they meet? Oisin, who did he meet in this chapter?
Right, so wakes up, Gandalf's there. He's delighted.
Yeah.
Sam comes in. Then he basically meets Elrond.
Yeah.
He doesn't meet Arwen, but he sees her across the room and has like a little moment with her maybe. And Bilbo, obviously, is the big one. He's so surprised.
Gloin
Bilbo's
as
there.
well. Meets
And
Gloin.
Gloin as
Gimli
well.
Star.
yes.
Yeah.
I thought his name was Glowin
No, Gloin.
because it rhymes with Owen.
No.
no. There's an Oin.
Oin
Did they call him
and
Owen?
Gloin.
Owen.
Is it Oin or Owen? Owen.
I don't know.
Biffer,
Let
Buffer, Bomber.
somebody correct us.
Gloin,
Bad.
Feely, Killy, Dwalin, Balin, Thorin.
Yeah.
Something like that.
I thought it was like groin with an L.
Call him whatever you like. Bilbo's Star. Or not Bilbo's Star. Gimli's Star.
That boy. Yeah, he meets him. And
Yeah.
they're the main
Sorry,
ones,
yes.
aren't they?
Yeah. And
Yeah, pretty much.
Pretty much. And it's very good gear, I think. A lot of interesting shit that, like I said, we'll get into as we go. But first thing I recognised there was Gandalf uses the term the Lord of the Rings in reference to obviously Sauron. And I was thinking, is that the first time so far that we've actually heard someone say the Lord of the Rings?
Yeah,
I think so. I don't remember, because it's quite a striking comment. You know, that's, ooh, they named the book. Yes.
Yeah, like Roadhouse. Roadhouse.
Is that what that's called?
I don't know. It's in Family Guy. You know, when someone says the title of the movie or whatever in the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, I don't know. I noticed that anyway straight away.
It's a standout moment.
Yeah. And why do you think that even Tolkien, like, he could have called the books anything he wanted, right? You could have called it, you know, Frodo's Journey, or he could have called it, you know, Middle-earth Saga.
Back again.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the Red Book of Red March or whatever, the Big Book of Red March. Or you could have called it anything you wanted. Why do we think he named it after the bad guy?
Is it because there's so much going on in his universe? Like, and even this chapter is an example of that, where you hear about Elendil, Elrond, where Aragorn comes from. Like, there's so much detail in history, like thousands of years, and he needed to make this specific to Sauron. Like, this is the task at hand. Get rid of this ring.
Yeah, but he didn't call it the ring.
Yeah, good point.
I don't know either. Like, I don't have the answer here, lads. I'm just spitballing.
Yeah,
you know?
you threw me for a loop.
You ask a good question.
I don't know how to answer.
Is it maybe, even though in every chapter it always boils back to this fella that you're fighting against? At the end of everything, it's like this shadow is always over every single thing. Even though they're merry and happy here in this chapter, singing and dancing and having food, they're still not allowed to say his name or mention them things because he's lurking there.
Oh, he's a prick, like.
So
I was thinking there as well that, like, you read the first, what chapter are we on? 12?
13? Yeah.
And you're thinking,
unlucky.
everybody wants to be Lord of the Ring. You know, well, except the hobbits. You know, Gollum wants to be, Bilbo wants to be, Frodo doesn't really want to be, but like everybody wants it, but knows they shouldn't have it, anybody who's smart enough. All the men want it because they think that they'll be able to control themselves. So everybody wants to be Lord of the Ring. And now in this chapter you definitely are told you're not the fucking Lord of the Ring.
There's only one. Yeah.
Just to make it clear.
Well, what's interesting as well in these three books, the Lord of the Ring is never the Lord of the Ring because he never has it.
True.
A misnomer.
Yeah, you made that point in the pod a while ago where he's like, 4 fucking hobbits end up, and he's like, who are these fucking hobbits? What the fuck is a hobbit?
Yeah.
Fucking hilarious. That's why it's so good though, isn't it? So like, Frodo's obviously at the start of this, but he's sick, he's in bits. Fucking listeners might not believe me, but I'm sick too, you know. It's just a bit of serendipity there. I think this podcast has become too much a part of my fucking life, you know. Life imitates art. I fucking hate being sick as well. I honestly think maybe the first time in about 8 years I've had a blocked nose. I fucking hate it. And I'm an awful patient. But listen, what about yourselves, lads? Has anyone ever had to spend like a couple of nights in a hospital, or have you ever woken up not recognising, like, oh jeez, I was sick there, like what happened, or like, you know, had a Frodo experience, we'd say?
I kind of have one where it's like one of them memories you have from a kid and you don't really understand what was going on because you're a kid and you only have like little bits of it. You don't remember the whole story. I think I got my tonsils out, and like my abiding memory of it is going down to like a canteen place and eating a big plate of beans.
Nice.
That's
Nice.
baked beans. That's
Right.
Like that's my memory of this whole occasion. Like I'm in the hospital just eating baked beans. Why am I there? What's going on? What the fuck? I don't know, but it's just
They
bizarre.
don't take your tonsils anymore, I don't think, because it turns out they're actually useful for something.
Oh, no, that's Ireland in the 90s.
But I don't have any tonsils either. Yeah, fuck yeah.
I've kept mine. I lost my appendix.
Did
I
you?
didn't lose it really. They took it out. I was thinking about it. It's mad. Like I knew it was in bits, but I thought it was like a hangover. And I skipped college that day, and I was like, right, I need to lift home. And we took the bumpiest potholey road that existed because the Limerick motorway didn't exist back then, or it didn't. We were too cheap to pay the tolls. And then I was like back at my ex-girlfriend's, and I decided I wanted to go cinema. Like, I mean, it was me in bits, like hunched over with an appendix about to burst. And I was like, maybe I should go in, and I did. And then they put me into surgery the next day. And like that, you know, you put the mask on, they give you the gas, and you're knocked. You just wake up the next day or the next night. And I was like, oh, that's done there now. I need a piss. Straight up out of bed, walked to the Jacks, and I was still full pumped of morphine, so I was able to do all this.
Oh,
I
Jesus.
shouldn't have been moving at all, and like the nurse just wasn't around to see me do it, so
Oh,
I was like
Jesus.
pissing, and then like all this like bloody transparent liquid oozing from my scabs and my bandages, because they're not oozing, but like leaking. Like this was the painkiller injected into the fucking, the scars, the knife cuts. And it was just like leaking all down around me, so I just like scooted back to bed and hoped the nurse wouldn't find me, but she 100% did, and she was just like, "You don't ever leave the bed again. You're in bits. You're just like high on drugs, so bedpan from now on, you prick."
What about you, Owen? Ever been bedridden?
I'm sure there was times where I've like had the flu and been in bed for a couple of days, but I don't recall ever being very sick, and I've never been to hospital, stayed a night or anything like that.
God, it's Unbreakable all over again.
Oh my!
I've seen this movie before.
Ever been in a train crash?
Twice, yeah. But no, like I've never, like I've broken bones, the fucking usual, like, but I've never been in to have an operation, stay overnight.
Never gone under general anaesthetic.
Never, no.
Oh, be Jesus.
Good.
There you go.
Only
I remember
Hope
when
it stays that way.
When I got my tonsils out, I was only 13 or 14, I think I got the tonsils out, and that was the only time I was ever under the general anaesthetic. And for whatever reason, I was tossing and turning after the operation, and I ended up wrapping the IV around my arm, and it turned whatever the flow was the other way, so my blood went up the IV. Instead of the IV going in my vein, and then I woke up and I just had a big like bag of blood over my head. And I was just like 14 and saying, "That doesn't look good." Where am I? I thought I was in an episode of Buffy or something. fucking had to ring the bell or something. But it was like 4 o'clock in the morning. It was about 2 hours.
It's really dangerous.
Yeah, 100%. About 13, 14, something like that. Up in the eye and ear. For some reason, the eye and ear.
Oh, the eye and ear.
Yeah, they took me
I
tonsils out.
fucking used to go out once a year when I was a gossin, because I was blind since I was 2. Big cock eye on me, and it was my day out. Like I used to dress up in my Sunday, not even my Sunday best, like my communion best. Like I put on like a sweater vest,
like a little snooker player.
Fucking, this is my day, my time to shine. You put the big glasses on you, and then
Just go to the doctor to get big jam jars.
It was like your man. It was a Troy Parrott that had the big fucking jam.
yeah,
Nice.
and they put in the.
I always wanted glasses as a young fella, but unfortunately I didn't need them. I used to go in and lie in the eye test and Everton. I'm like, 7, G.
Batman sign.
What? Why would you want glasses?
Was it Clark Kent or something?
Yeah, I was just a gobshite, like, I don't know. Anyway, Lord of the Rings, boys. Good to have Gandalf back. Did you notice he says something fucking a bit cool, maybe, where he's chatting away to Frodo and he's telling him, what happened to him. He explains to Frodo, how he got there, this, that, the other. And then Frodo says something like, "Oh, what about you, Gandalf? Were you fighting or someone captured you?" He's like, yeah. Well, there's some powers in Middle Earth that, are more powerful than me, and some I haven't been tested against yet. My time is coming.
Yeah.
What's that about?
It's class.
I think you mentioned before that he doesn't feel time the way everyone else does, because he's an Cetari, right?
Yeah.
He's a wizard being sent. He's a Maiar sent as a wizard with lesser powers. And like his whole purpose is to fight Sauron, right? Maybe not physically, man and man, but to make sure he doesn't succeed.
I think that was his whole order, maybe not him specifically, although some people would say Gandalf is Sauron's equivalent or whatever. But yeah, the 5 Ishtari were sent to kind of balance out the evil of Melkor and Sauron. At least that's my understanding of it. But what do you think? Who's he talking about? My time is coming.
There was another wee foreshadowing in it for the Mines of Moria. If we go back, or I don't know how far forward or back, will I go a bit forward? But basically, Frodo's chatting to Gloin, and Gloin says, "I'm here on business. I want to chat to Elrond about Dwalin." I think it's Dwalin.
In Moria.
So Dwalin's like the Lord of Moria, and he's like, I'm wondering, is he going to speak to him about, maybe
Haven't
he's
heard
missing
from him in a while.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah,
why is that?
Gandalf is talking about the Balrog then.
Yeah, I think so. I think he knows what's coming.
And he's like, this is where
That's
I go.
his test.
That's his test.
Which is, he does fairly well, so.
True, yeah. I can't wait for that chapter.
Pretty badass test, like.
Dwalin is in a tomb, which means he died of old age or
No, it was
something.
Balin.
Oh, right.
Yeah, one of them. Well,
Dwalin is the guy beside
He's
the
in the
tomb.
movie anyway, yeah, he's in the movie. Yeah, it's just good to have Gandalf back. I just love the way he talks and the way he's
He's
chatting
so
about
cool,
like,
just sitting there smoking a pipe, blowing rings. Just
yeah,
blasé.
so cool. And I know, listen, we know the movies and, you know, we're all so familiar with Gandalf and this, that, the other, but like we did with Strider, could we turn ourselves maybe back to, imagine you'd never read these books before and you'd never seen the movies, you know, your first time. What would you think of Gandalf?
He says he's a mind reader.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, that just blew my mind because he says Frodo's talking in his sleep, but you know, when anybody talks in their sleep, you don't get the whole. He's not giving him a fucking essay, like he's saying words. So how's he meant to deduce everything about, say, the Barrow Downs? And so he's literally minding his read. He's reading his mind, and so why? I was thinking, like, if he can do that to Frodo, why doesn't he do it to Gollum when he really needed to interrogate him? That was just one
No
thought.
secrets from Gandalf.
Just thought it was class that he could mind read. It just goes to show. I love the unspoken magic that's in the book.
Yeah.
You know, unexplained. You know, I can just do this and deal with it.
He's some fucking pup is Gandalf. The way he just like would say to like Frodo as if like you're an idiot. What did you think the Rangers were? Of course they're the fucking last remnants of the kings. And Frodo like what? Just love listening to him. He's like, you know. Like,
I didn't know that. There's a lot about the Númenóreans I didn't know before I read the books. You know, it's not. It might be implied or shown in the films, but I'm actually trying to get through the extended versions very slowly. I think I started in February, and I'm watching them with Fionn before he goes to bed. So maybe get about 20 minutes every second night. So it's a long road.
20
Road
minutes.
goes
and
ever on and on, you'd say.
12 hours.
I'm only about an hour into the Return of the King. I've another 3 hours to go. So if it's implied that he's a Númenórean and that's what the Rangers are, like, I never picked that up, really.
Yeah, I'm the same. Like, I haven't read the books too, and that's it again, new to me. I didn't know that all Rangers are Númenóreans. Like, you know, they're remnants of the kings of old.
I got really into this because of that poem that I didn't understand halfway. It's not even a poem, it's a fucking saga of a song that Bilbo writes in this chapter about Elendil, who is Elrond's dad. I didn't know who he was. I read the whole poem not knowing who this was about. And
You mean right at the end of the chapter?
yeah.
Is there any particular reason you're actually just commandeering this fucking podcast from the host book?
Because I wanted to say how into it I got. Just like how I loved it. It's just like I've delved deep into the Silmarillion and like on who everybody is, and I just love it. I just love how it can just grab you.
It is. It's absolutely class.
I'll get onto it later on if you let me.
No, go on.
I forget what I was even on about now.
It's probably shites up.
Tell me when you're going to start, and I'll grab a beer bowl, right?
No, I feel like one of the reasons why I love this chapter so much is, you know, it's often said Tolkien created a world and then wrote books in that world to just show it off. And in this chapter here, and you know, with that poem about Elendil and just the history of Glorfindel and the Númenóreans and all that shit, it really feels like, you know, we're peeling back bits of this world. It doesn't feel like Tolkien's writing it and it's just like, you know, he's making it up as he's going along. You know what I mean?
No, he has so many plans in the background.
Yeah. Right.
It really feels like The Lord of the Rings is like a blip on his radar. It's like, oh, this is just a fun story I'll let you know about in about 1,500 pages.
Yeah.
You know, it's just a little blip.
Yeah, it's not even the most important shit that's happened. Well, so far, anyway. Like, it's just so good. I love it. That's one of the reasons I like this chapter a lot. You know, the world feels full. You know what I mean?
But going back to the point that you said that, like, what if the first time you read it, like, you'll have no fucking clue who Elendil is. Who the fuck is Bilbo talking about?
I know.
I don't even think it's implied that he's Elrond's dad.
No.
They just mentioned that he's from that area.
Yeah.
He's from Rivendell, like.
Yeah.
Rivendell.
Rivendell.
Unbelievable crack. I don't think Elendil was from Rivendell. I think it was from Númenor, which is an island sunken in the sea. But that's a different story for a different day. So getting back to Frodo.
I don't think he was either. I think I know. I'm fucking ready to jump on
He
that.
wasn't from Númenor, no?
No. So I think Elros, which is Elrond's brother, which is the son of Elendil, was the first Númenorian because he chose to be mortal. Oh no, he chose to be mortal.
Yeah.
So that meant he was Numenor and he could live for longer, but he was still going to die. So it was Elros. Elrond's brother.
Elrond's half, isn't it?
Wait, so Elendil wasn't from Numenor then, no?
He built a ship, and that's what the whole poem
The
is
ship
about.
could fly,
Building
though.
a ship and going.
The ship could fly. Did you know that, lads?
He's
not.
Or did he have wings? Because the poem says he got wings.
Yeah, on the side of his boat. Meow.
Yeah. I think it's implied. But he came from Westeros or whatever. No.
Lost all sorts of credibility.
Yeah. Filthy casual.
Narnia he came from.
And then Aslan got on his boat.
He was the first lad to get to Valinor.
How could I forget you? Crazy. Anyway, right, Frodo, lad, sitting in the bed. Good to have him in back top form. Now, he's not in top form at the start of the chapter, and we find out why. He didn't just get fucking stabbed, but they fucking left the knife in him. Did you hear that, Ocean? Like the top knot of the fucking knife was splintered.
Like a little bit of splinter came out and was in him for 17 days. That's some amount of time. Yeah, and it poisoned him.
How is that not mad infected?
And of course, they just get him in time, another couple of hours, and he would have been gone even past Elrond's power to save him. And apparently, Elrond's got some amount of power.
Some amount of power, yeah.
Because he's the one who really saves Frodo in two ways. So he obviously helps him with the poison, but he's the one who created the flood to actually get rid of the Black Riders in the first place.
Yeah.
So Elrond...
Did he do it on his own now?
No, not on his own. Gandalf gave a little bit of assistance and was very clear to let you know that.
2 stones in it or something.
I helped out. Yeah. Don't forget me. That wasn't just Elrond. But...
it's like when I put the salt on the dinner after she's finished cooking it.
Exactly.
I'm helping.
I put little horses on top that made it look cool.
yeah. But I wonder what surgery looked like in Middle-earth to get that fucking like knife out of him.
Oh yeah,
you know
imagine
what I mean?
the poking and the rooting they were doing. He said he couldn't get it at the start, and it took like 2 or 3 days to get it out. He was poking around it at different times. I don't know if you've ever had a splinter, but I would not fancy that.
In my head, now this isn't canon, lads, but I'm going to take a hot take here. And I don't often do the hot takes. This is a hot take on Elrond's surgery, right? I think he's singing.
I was about to say that. It's like he's praying or fucking willing it out of him.
You know, it's like a Native American thing, like, or something. A load of smoke billowing from somewhere.
Yeah,
There's
that's
like
how I pictured it too.
Yeah, that's how I
100%.
imagine it. Yeah,
I think it'd be more calm.
You don't think he's in there with the tweezers?
Yeah. I think. Did you ever see is it X-Men, the third one, the shit one, and Wolverine gets
the full name?
The shit one.
Yeah, that's the full name. Yeah, that's what was released in Portugal under. Yeah.
I have that movie poster at home.
Wolverine takes his knives out in front of a police officer and he's like, "Put down your knives." He's like, "I can't," and he gets shot in the head. And then because he's self-healing, just pops out of his head about 20 seconds later. That's how I imagine Elrond just quietly singing over him, and then it just
right. Maybe
whispering in his ear.
There's a Bjorn in the background on a harp or something like.
Yeah.
Okay, right. I just imagine Glorfindel on the drums, like a triangle or something like. And fuck, Jesus, Frodo, he nearly turned invisible, What
he
is
was
that
nearly
about?
gone.
Like even
is
Gandalf,
it not just a
just,
euphemism?
No, because you get a bit of Gandalf's internal monologue here, and he's like, he's a lot more transparent than usual.
Yeah, he was a little bit transparent after the...
He was nearly in the Wraith world, and the Wraiths were terrified because they could see Glorfindel in his true form or something in this Wraith world, and they could see how powerful he was, and they were like, uh-oh, we're up again, between a brick and a rock and a hard place here.
It sounds scary.
Yeah, what is that about? What's these two worlds about, Bud?
I don't know, but it's made clear in this chapter that there's definitely two worlds. We talk about him slipping into the Wraith world, but I don't think it's a Wraith world. I think it's this is the other side, and I think it's mentioned by Gandalf that Glorfindel is on both sides. Once you've been to Valinor and back, you live on both sides at all times. And I'd say he looks scary as fuck in the other world.
Glorfindel is just fucking
bright
class, isn't he? I know I spoke at length last chapter about how I fucking love this guy. But geez, he's some man, isn't he?
It just sounds scary. I just think that's class. There's finally a bit of explanation. I know we talked about soft magic, but they don't really explain anything. But the two worlds really clears that up, where it's like you can be a beast in both areas, and that's why the Wraiths can't see. And who else can't see in this as well? The Barrow down. If you go back to the Barrow White,
Yeah.
he wouldn't have been able to see the boys. That's why he talks about a hand creeping in. I don't know how he fucking clothed the lads in white fucking gowns and gave them swords.
Don't
And then
think
he's
about it
going,
too
oh,
hard.
but now I can't see where Frodo is.
Yeah.
But if you think about that,
It's also why we can't see the ring wraiths.
Yeah, they're just wearing
Yeah.
cloaks.
They are invisible to us, but Frodo
Yeah.
was slipping into
In-
their world,
yeah.
as you might say. So he
Yeah.
could start to see them. And that's what, and you know, when you put the ring on, you go to their world. You don't actually go invisible. Well, I
Well,
mean, technically you
They
do.
can still talk in the normal world, is it? Or
Yeah.
is all that speech that talk with him, or is that in the Wraith world? Because it's only with Frodo, is
they
it?
have boots, right? So they must be in the real world, you know.
Yeah.
Frodos. Because they can put on boots. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Cloaks
They can
and
ride a horse.
ride a horse. Yeah.
It's confusing, like, and spooky.
Yeah. What about the Barrow Downs, though? Getting back to that, like, imagine Frodo put on the ring as he wanted to.
What would the Barrow look
He
like?
wanted to put on the ring and leave the boys.
Yeah.
And if he did, the Barrow White would have saw him.
Yeah.
He just went only for him. He thought he would have got off scot-free and left the boys to die if he could do that. But it would have been the completely other way around.
Yeah.
Plus, like, by not doing it, he's just like, I am such a sound lad.
And you would have seen what they look like, which could have been interesting. I wonder what they did look like.
Probably terrifying.
Terrifying, is it?
The Queen of England, maybe. Hello, Frodo! Maybe so, lads. Maybe so. So fucking, yeah, the two worlds just fucking mad. Right, so there's something that I wanted to talk about here, lads, and I want to do this as tactfully as I can because I don't want to offend anyone, but I think it's worth mentioning, right? So as Frodo was just kind of chatting away to Gandalf, Sam bursts in the door, right? And there's a moment here, but I want to talk about this, and not for silly reasons, right? Because I'm such a Lord of the Rings movie obsessive, right? I've watched the movies with the commentary in full. So I watched the entire movie while it's being narrated by cast members.
Nerd!
Yeah, 100%, right?
Anybody who's listening to this pod is going to be in the same boat. I mean, I want to do this. I want to buy
that
those
sounds
DVDs
class.
so I can do that.
Yeah, right. And there's actually, I think there's 2 or 3 different commentaries. So I like, one of them is with like the Hobbits and this another one. Anyway, so I watched it and it was Ian McKellen on it, you know, and he's talking about this scene here. So what basically happens is, Ocean, what happens? So like Sam runs in and he
strokes Frodo's hand.
he grabs him and then he lets
And blushes.
And blushes,
Yeah, blushes.
right? A 14-year-old might read that and be like, that's gay or whatever, right?
Yeah.
But so I was watching this extended edition with Ian McKellen, right? And he literally mentioned, because he's obviously one of the most famous out of the closet actors in the 70s. You know, a real trailblazer for gay people, you'd say. At least in my opinion, I don't know fuck all about the culture, but at least for maybe English people, he might be. But he was talking about he wasn't actually supposed to be on set that day. But he made sure he was there as Elijah Wood was filming that scene with Sean Astin, because as a Lord of the Rings fan and a gay person, that page is massively important for him and for lots of gay people his age, because they've always read that if you wanted to, Sam and Frodo are gay. And like, you don't have to read it that way, but Ian McKellen, and that's the authority I'm using here, says it's actually an important page. So I wanted to bring it up, and I think it's probably worth talking about. Like, maybe they were, and maybe that's okay.
Like, I thought, reading through it like that, like the reason why Sam stroked his hand was because Frodo kept complaining that he couldn't feel the left-hand side of his body, and his arm was like ice cold. So Sam obviously kept touching it.
Fran Wise Gamgee.
Hand wise.
Sam kept touching it when he was by his side to make sure, like, to keep seeing if it was, if it was still cold, because it meant he wasn't well. Like, that's what I got from that. But
Frodo mentioned he didn't want to be maimed.
yeah.
You're watching the film and you're reading the book, like, he's just got stabbed. He's going to be healed. We know he's going to be healed. But like, when he got stabbed, he's like, will I be maimed for life? Will this arm never work again?
Yeah, I think all probably correct as anything. You know what I mean? All I know is that Ian McKellen was there, and he was there with the book, and he pointed it to Sean Astin to go, they ever said, here, this is a big moment for gay people. He just said, oh, did you know that Sam grabs Frodo's hand here? And then Sean Astin was like, oh, I'll do that too, without two thoughts of it. While Ian McKellen was sitting there, was like, yeah, delighted.
Nice.
But I think that the deciding factor in how Ian McKellen interpreted that was because he read that after Sam touched Frodo's hand, he blushed. He blushed is probably the main bit there. It'd be fine if it just said, and Sam came in and touched Frodo's hand. But the fact that they said he blushed after.
And let's be honest, you know, like, he was a child in the 50s, and if he's reading stuff, and if you're gay, I suppose there wasn't a lot of representation out there. You know, you would have been clutching for anything, and just to have, whether it's platonic or not, you know, I think we can safely say proper love between two men was probably rare enough back then. It's rare enough now. I think Scrubs changed it a lot away from my mind anyway. You know, like, we can all be fairly happy in all each other's company and not be awkward like our dads were. But I just wanted to, you know, bring up that moment. I think it is a nice little moment between the two, regardless of whether they're fucking jumping each other's bones in between scenes or not. I don't really care.
I don't think it's that level. I think if he was, it's confusing them because you know at the end of the films he ends up with Rosie, and you know the film makes it out that he fancies Rosie, and he ends up having like 13 kids with Rosie according to the appendix. Sam, Gam, Chan, Fran, Sam, Tim Tam, and Ham, Hamwise.
And Fran, don't forget Fran.
You got Fran in there.
And Gaffer Jr.
And Gaffer Jr. So yeah, I don't want to shit on it, but it's confusing. I can see why you would jump on it, especially when you wouldn't have the appendix growing up in whatever the 50s, 60s reading this, or you know. Yeah.
And it's just a nice moment too. And I wanted to give a shout out to Ian McKellen, just because I love that guy and I'd like to be his friend.
And Bull doesn't even have an appendix.
Doesn't he? No. Never mind, the 50s doesn't have one now.
No. What? Did you not say you got your appendix?
Yeah.
Yeah, what's that got to do with it?
You just
it's appendices. It's not an appendix.
Yeah, no way.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, boys, as the chapter's progressing there, Pippin is still a fucking idiot.
What did Pippin do?
Yeah. Well, he gets told off again. He says, "You need a fucking copping on you, do."
He's a bit too excitable.
He starts shouting.
He shouts out to Frodo, "You're the Lord of the Rings."
Yeah.
That bit,
and then Gandalf is like, "Will you fucking wish?" And then Pippin turns around and is like, "Well, Gandalf's in a bad mood again."
Yeah.
That's showing his immaturity.
He's a clown.
He's like that fella who keeps getting told off, so he stays quiet until like he feels like, oh, this, I have to say this. Yeah. And the thing he says is always another annoying thing that nobody wants.
He's proper a child, like.
Do they refer to Sauron as the Lord of the Rings in Middle Earth, like does Gandalf?
Well, he did just there.
Elrond?
I mean,
no, but that was Pippin.
No,
that wasn't
before this. Gandalf said.
Pippin just said that out of the air. He doesn't. Does he say it to Pippin though? Or
it must be just well known, maybe.
Yeah, but like. They don't know about the Black Riders or anything until Gandalf tells them. So, you know, they know him as... Do they know him as Sauron? Do they know him as the Dark Lord? Do they know him as the Lord of the Rings?
Oh yeah, Pippin probably doesn't have a fucking clue. That fella doesn't know his arse from his elbow. But Gandalf knows rightly, I suppose. You know,
I know. But I'm saying, did Pippin just pluck that out of the sky and say, the Lord of the Rings?
He must have done, actually. Like, now that you say it.
It is by accident, yeah.
Fucking hell. An intuitive little scribe, maybe.
Yeah, Gandalf like, how the fuck do you know that shit?
Never say that again.
It's like when I remember like playing football with in the back garden, and my little brother missed. Like we had goalposts. I was like, "Oh, you're so bent." And my mum was like, "Sean, don't ever say that again." I was like, "What? He missed."
Like the shot was like not.
Yeah, he bent. He missed.
That was actually, wasn't that a regular thing when we were young? Like, oh, you fucking...
Bender.
No, you wouldn't say a bender, but you'd say exactly what you said, and it made perfect sense.
Your shot was bent, it didn't go straight in.
Yeah, you missed.
Bend it like Beckham, you know
what's innocent. And then we learned about...
The words became...
Words got more complicated.
No, I just think we grew up,
or
maybe when we met gay people.
Yeah.
Like, oh, yeah.
Yeah, they're normal people.
Oh, some people hate them for no reason. Oh, shit. Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. And then, so after Frodo gets up and he walks around, meets the hobbits, this, that, the other, bit of an L party. Everyone's waiting for Frodo, really, to have a big feast.
Basically, yeah.
I mean, Sam shows him around the place and that kind of thing. It looks like a nice house.
Bit of a tour.
The last homely home. And They have this big, feast or whatever. And at the top table, right, Elrond, it's his gaff, fair enough. And to his right is Glorfindel, again, fair enough, Elf Jesus, right? And then the other side is Gandalf, right? And Frodo is surprised. Like, Gandalf is a great lord, as he says. And I don't know, I think it's because I've known him all my life and I can't remember,
Yeah, Frodo's naive about Gandalf's entire image.
He just thinks he's a fireworks man or something.
He's just he's that guy, he shows up every so often. He's a bit of crack. He's fairly smart. He knows a lot of stuff.
He even says, I thought I knew Gandalf. I thought I knew him, but turns out I don't.
Doesn't have a clue that he's all powerful.
Yeah, that really stood out. Did that stand out to you, Owen?
Yeah, I know, absolutely. It's funny that how did someone explain it to him, or did he just kind of, because I know he was glancing across at each character and then the book was explaining, but like he knew all this about Gandalf. Did someone tell him, or was it when Gandalf was chatting to him in the bed that he said it to him then?
What do you mean?
Which bit?
Like, the way, what I'm saying, like it explains how Gandalf is.
Yeah, I just think Frodo doesn't consciously know that anyway. Maybe the book was telling us. I think because Frodo's surprised that Gandalf gets a seat at the top table, and Frodo's very humble.
So that's
Frodo's
the reason
like,
it's just because Gandalf has the left hand side of Elrond. Frodo's like, he must be important.
I just thought you were a tramp who had nice fireworks. Like, what's this all about? Like,
yeah, but it's funny the way, like, the only reason, like, when he goes to Hobbiton in the Shire, it's always for the parties and the fireworks. That's all they know him.
He's a sesh hound.
Absolute session gremlin. Yeah, he's session gremlin.
It doesn't help that he's Gandalf the Grey as well, because he's in raggedy old clothes and he'd just be fucking trotting around in his car smoking a pipe.
He comes to stock up on the old long bottom leaf.
Yeah.
I wonder, right, so let's say if you'd read The Hobbit, right, let's again try to turn ourselves back to someone reading this for the first time, which I think is appropriate. So if you'd read The Hobbit and Gandalf, he plays a big part in The Hobbit, he definitely has, a bit of a vagabond. What would you be thinking of here? It's like, well, how important is Gandalf,
Yeah. It's definitely like a step forward. Like, I know Gandalf's more so... Gandalf, in The Hobbit, he's more so a guide. And he's telling the dwarves and Bilbo where to go, what to do. Sometimes he'll fuck off because he gets pissed off with them. But it doesn't show us how good he is compared to how he is in this book, or how he's portrayed anyway.
It's almost like he's Disney cranky Merlin.
Who's Cranky Merlin?
But everyone knows him and everyone respects him. Like, every person who Frodo's met along the journey so far knows who Gandalf is, holds him in high regard. No one dismisses Gandalf as a crackpot on the way. So Frodo must know that he doesn't know he's powerful, but he definitely knows he's something special. Like, there's something about him.
Yeah, I think you're right. Firstly, he's definitely based on Merlin, 100%. But secondly, I think there's a bit from Frodo kind of learning here. He's like, well, he's not my Gandalf. You know what I mean? He's actually everybody's Gandalf. I guess as he's going on, he's learning that everybody on the planet knows Gandalf. Yeah. But, Frodo just thought he was his mate.
He's meeting so many fucking celebs of the world, and he has no notion. He didn't know Gandalf was a celeb. He's my Gandalf. He only does fireworks.
And Frodo's quite humble as well. He's like, I shouldn't be here. Yeah. He's like, no, you're the second most famous person in the room, Frodo.
Yeah. But and that's actually a great line that what's his face puts up at the end. Bilbo, he says something like, "I'm sorry that we won't get to see your chapters of our story." Really fucking nice line.
Yeah.
He is he's the main character, and he is meeting these celebs. He's becoming legend with these other legends,
But Frodo was also known in them circles before for just being Bilbo's nephew. Yeah. But obviously now his stature is raising to an exceptional level. Oh God, that Frodo Baggins lad. Oh wow, he's doing what? Jesus.
He is apparently immune to the most powerful dark magic in the history of the world.
17 days.
So,
Yeah.
Gandalf was like, I know fucking mortal men that wouldn't be able to withstand what you did, so fair fucking play.
More strength behind him than he knows.
Yeah, everything.
Yeah, and it's not just the blade either, it's the ring, it's everything. Like, Sauron can't touch this fella for some reason, and Frodo still, I don't think, grasps how important he is. Gandalf even mentions it, doesn't he? Where he's like, this lad's not halfway done yet.
Yeah.
Where in the movie, it's getting nice where Gandalf's like, we can't ask any more of Frodo. While in the book, he's like, Frodo's only getting started. Oh,
Yeah.
And book Frodo was saying, "Oh, I'm very glad I'm here now. I'm done." Like that was some journey.
yeah.
Like, he doesn't know.
Gandalf actually mentioned something like, it's probably a good thing what happened. Like, me getting captured meant I couldn't help you out. It meant that you had to fucking deal with all those trials and tribulations. It's fucking set you up for good, man. And even in the films, you don't see him going through all that shit where he nearly dies 3 times from a tree and fucking a barrow down.
Yeah.
Those are really testing times, even of like, he nearly dies because of, being killed by trees and shit. But he also like makes really good decisions by not leaving his mates, and is just like a standout guy.
Do you think Gandalf is like being super wise and saying like, oh, actually this will work out for the better, it's fate? Or do you think he's just like, oh yeah, this is my plan all along, actually. Yeah. It's all going according to plan.
Well, the fact he says that he can kind of implying that he knows what's going to happen next, or to some extent, to like maybe he doesn't know what's going to happen in a month, but he has an idea of how something's going to play out.
He knows he has to stop Sauron. That's job number 1. I suppose part of it, maybe it's jumping ahead, but we know from the film Sauron betrays him, or betrays his own quest, in that he should be helping Gandalf, but he wants the ring for himself. Like, I know nobody was invited to Rivendell, but if he didn't find out that Sauron wanted to fucking kill him and try and kill him and keep him captured, would he have invited him for advice? And what would Saruman have said? And you would have listened to him because he's a fucking big white wizard.
Yeah, although...
Kiss that yoke around your neck. I just want to polish that across in the corner here and be back to you.
Yeah,
Let me
I
look
don't
at that
know,
for a
because
second.
if you remember in the earlier chapters, there was already Gandalf kind of, he was already talking about Saruman and maybe we should give Gandalf a wee bit more kind of credit. He was like, he was bad mouthing him a wee bit. He was bad mouthing him a wee bit.
100%.
He was, so interesting. So there's another person at the party, lads, who plays a massive role in the movies, and I think she gets 1 page in the whole trilogy, and it's Arwen. It's a lovely page, though, I must say. I think I read it 2 or 3 times, and just the description of what Arwen is, very like, from the wreaths in her hair that was playing apart from leads, to the dark black hair against the pale skin, and it's just really kind of well written, wasn't it?
Yeah, the eyes.
She's youthful without being young or something, and she looks wise, and she's got beautiful grey eyes, and
look like skies.
I think something about stars in her eyes.
A lot of description for her.
I think there's something about if you have starlight in your eyes, it's from looking at the Silmaril or having somebody in your family who's looked at them, and like that actually affects how you look.
Yeah,
I seen one of them
You saw a
behind the
Silmaril?
scene facts that does the rounds on the internet, and it was that Peter Jackson had made like a special candle kind of light thing to put it over Liv Tyler's head, like when she was on camera, to make it look like stars in her eyes.
Yeah,
Looked to that detail.
Galadriel had the same.
Yeah,
you can see it in the movie. I looked out for it. You can see it in the movie.
way.
If you look into Galadriel's eyes, you can see like stars in it.
There
too.
is a word, or not a word, a phrase here used in the description of Arwen. She's Luthien reborn. Anyone know who Luthien is? Or Luthien's likeness reborn?
Yeah.
Is that the one from a couple of chapters ago? She had 2 names, wasn't it? Luthien was one, and we talked about it before. I was drunk, so I don't remember half it.
The problems with this podcast.
Luthien the elf,
Like Luthien
and Beren.
Beren
Yeah,
and
I mean,
Luthien.
there's parallels there, obviously, where Luthien forsakes her life to marry a human, and that's where Aragorn's life comes from, and we know that's what will happen with Arwen later on. But what's also interesting is that Tolkien and his wife on their gravestone says, "Here lies Luthien and Beren."
Oh,
Isn't
that gave me
lovely?
like chills there. That's kind of nice.
Yeah, isn't that mad? You can go see it. It's in Oxford somewhere.
Oh, that's lovely. What a romantic.
Isn't that fucking lovely, lads? This podcast, something else, so it is. Something else. Fucking bring it. Homework.
Great info.
Fucking everything, lads. Yeah.
Nice.
Yep.
What do you call that? That's not a take, a hot take.
That's just
Just a fucking straight up fact.
knowledge bomb.
Knowledge bomb. Grade
Knowledge
A
bomb.
podcasting. That's what that is. Fucking savage. Now let's talk about willies.
One of my hot takes was Aragorn wasn't at the feast because he was off sniffing Arwen's knickers.
Oh,
Does she have knickers?
I
or
was
is it just
thinking
like
that
a little
too.
garment
She
of
wouldn't need
a little
them.
G-string full of
She
janey?
wouldn't
Yes.
need them to be like a fucking birds coming in and like.
like do elves poo? Like do they poo? Like I don't know.
doing.
Like, they don't need
No,
sustenance,
no
but maybe
arseholes.
they like it. Like I don't know.
Maybe they like it.
We need to get a Tolkien
That
scholar.
took a turn.
We need to get a Tolkien scholar on so we can ask them if elves poo.
The real question.
Get in touch with us here on the Twitter and the Instagram. If anyone thinks that elves poo or don't poo, let us know on the social medias. Tolkien fans out there.
And which ones procreate?
What do you-
I'd like to know that too.
What? You mean poo?
For your own.
Who has sex? No, who has? Which of them have sex?
Any of them, I guess. Elrond, anyway.
He has 3 kids.
Well,
Why do elves have willies and Sauron doesn't?
Yeah, why does you said Sauron doesn't willies? Maiar does Gandalf have willies?
No, but elves aren't gods though. They're a race. Elves are a race though. Like they're a species or whatever.
Did you know though, right? Luthien and Beren, getting back to it, they had a son called Dior, and his daughter, Dior's daughter, married Elendil. So they're all related.
Yeah,
So, like,
they're royalty. That's how it works.
Arwen is like Aragorn's 60th cousin removed. You know.
I kind of feel like you're like Charlie and it's always sunny with the pins
But I
there.
think-
Oh, dude! Wait till you find out about the royal family in England. Oh, you're in for a fucking treat. So yeah.
I was actually thinking about it, I was like 60 cousins, mad, they're cousins, and I was like, real life is way worse than this.
Yeah, 60 is nothing. Like absolutely
Yeah.
nothing. Yeah. So then, right? So we see Arwen at the party, and then we see Gloin, Gimli's dad, and I thought this was class. Nice, just little update on the lands and the people of the Hobbit.
How the boys are getting on.
Did you appreciate that, lads? I thought it was
Loved
good.
it.
Definitely. Yeah. The
Loved
Bjornings.
My
Yeah.
favourite bit with Bomber is now so fat he needs 6 people to lift him.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Can't
just
even
a
get up
ball,
off his
one
feet.
huge ball.
Do you think people are
Class.
paid to do that? Like, is Bomber still a celeb in the Dwarf world? Or are them 13 celebrities?
Oh, I'd imagine
And
so.
they're all alive.
I'd imagine so.
Bomber just has like 6 servants or whatever you want to call
Yeah,
them.
they literally retook
Do
the
that
entire
for them, boys.
country off a dragon. Just 13 people. That I assume, hundreds of thousands of dwarves live there now. So those 13 are,
Well, there must be hundreds of thousands because like the carvings and stuff that he said they've done has absolutely been amazing in the tunnel. So like he goes into the description of like what they've carved and like the intricate details and like
yeah.
that's not done by 1 or 2 dwarves. Like that's an army over a long time.
Oh, 100%.
And also describes how Dale, obviously not Lake Town, the Kingdom of Dale is now stretched, and it's huge, and it goes north and east and south and west. And was it who's the King of Dale at the end of the Hobbit?
Oh, Bard.
Bard. His
Bard, yeah.
grandson is now in
His
charge.
son is
or
now,
something like
yeah.
that.
Yeah, grandson, yeah.
This
yeah.
is like, it's about 100 odd years now or something since The Hobbit, maybe, or more. Well, 50, at least 60, 70 years, you'd say.
I think it's 70. 70.
So they've
That's as
done
long
all
as
that work in
Bilbo's
the
had
mountain
ring.
in 70 years. That's quite impressive then.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's what they
what
do,
they
isn't
do.
it? Because they said they don't mine anymore. They create.
Their metal work isn't as good
Yeah.
anymore, but they can build stuff.
Better,
real-
yeah, they built
Real
it
nice.
better
Yeah.
shit like that, yeah. No, I love that whole convo with Gloin. I thought it was class, like.
Yeah, just
Yeah.
a nice bit of exposition.
But I think I'll go back to what I said as well. I love the fact that Gloin said to him, "By the way, I'm here to talk to what's Big Elf? man?
Elrond.
Big up, Elf.
Big
man.
up, Elrond!
I'm here to talk to Elrond about Balin.
Balin is missing, yeah. Just
Balin, yeah, Balin. He doesn't say why. He just says, "I'm here to talk to him."
Yeah, and
Which I kind of
because we
I
know.
like that because in a few chapters, I presume we're going to find out why.
yeah.
Now we already know because of,
He's
gone.
he's in a, they tried to retake Moria, yeah.
Mine-
The Foolish
Yeah.
Quest or whatever,
Yeah, but did he? Like I thought in them 70 years he did go back
Yeah.
to Moria and he mined and mined and
They
mined.
they
But
went to fight
because he-
against Moria, didn't they? Tried to fight back, but they never got full control of it because obviously, like, there's a new master there.
But why? I thought that was even before that because
I thought they dug too deep.
because they had the rings. The rings made them greedy. The greed made them dig too deep. I think it was a mine of mithril, and they dug too deep and found fucking obviously your man.
Right, so my understanding of it is that Moria is the first dwarf kingdom.
Yeah.
Now, there's 7 dwarf tribes, and as far as I know, throughout the entirety of Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit, we only ever see one of them, which is Durin's folk. And that's only one tribe. but there's actually 6 others, and they're scattered across the world or whatever. But anyway, Durin's Folk is the oldest and the most prestigious because it's the one in the west.
It's the line of kings or something.
Oh, well, and I'm sure maybe the other 6 have their own kings. But anyway, Durin's Folk, their first ever city was Moria, so it's kind of like Jerusalem, you'd say, for the dwarves. It's the most important kind of historically city for them, and the dwarves lived there for thousands and thousands of years, and long time ago they delved too deep and found the Balrog, and the Balrog obviously fucked their shit up, and that's why that particular Balrog is called Durin's Bane. And he fucked all their shit up, and that's why all the goblins and all that kind of shit who are being in and around the Misty Mountains or whatever, because different reasons, they'd be from, what's that mountain where the Witch King Angmar is in the Misty Mountains?
Angmar,
so
yeah.
There's all these kind of goblins and orcs and all that kind of shit there, but the ones in Moria actually don't even give a fuck about Sauron. They worship the Balrog. He's kind of independent to Sauron. He wants nothing to do with Sauron. They're not on the same team. Because they're the same level. After Melkor died. So that's, I think, Moria is also fucking huge. So even if Balin and his boys went back to retake Moria, they never understood the size of the task that they actually had. So they might have taken, fucking a couple of fucking streets, or half a city or whatever it was. 10% is all they could have ever taken, and you could be there for years and not see a goblin because the place is so fucking huge. But it was TikTok before they fucking died, basically.
Right.
I think that's my understanding of it. Anyway, I could be wrong. Probably am. Been wrong before. Will be wrong again. At the party, we've got elven minstrels, and I think I've been spending too much time on woke social media because I was just like, what? Blackface? What?
Yeah, I know. Minstrel straight away.
I had to Google minstrel. I was like, oh no, it's just a glee man. It's got nothing to do with the American bullshit. It's got nothing to do with that. It's just a fucking juggler.
Just delicious sweets.
Just the lad who goes around with the harp.
Yeah, a jester almost.
Yeah. I'll play you a song.
Just a musician.
away.
But I was just thinking, like, Jesus, the elves are wild racist.
They kind of are racist, not to black people or blackface, but they're like, what does he say? Sure, I'm sure one sheep recognizes another sheep. At me and Kirog Gela, but I don't fucking know the difference between the Kirogs.
Yeah.
But who? Who just said that?
Lindar says it to Bilbo, because he's like,
With the poem.
Bilbo mentioned something about how come you can't tell the difference between my lines and Aragorn's lines in the song, and he's like, sure, I can't tell the difference between sheep. I'm sure the sheep can tell themselves the difference between themselves.
Yeah, bit of a dick move there. Bit of a dick move. So anyway, Frodo does meet Bilbo. Why do you think Bilbo wasn't at the party though? He meets him after the party.
Sniffing knickers.
Bilbo was sniffing knickers.
Whose knickers? He's sniffing Gandalf's knickers, do you think?
He was opening the drawers for Aragorn. He knows where they are.
Oh, the two boys are in on
Him
it.
and Aragorn are in cahoots on sniffing knickers in Elrond's house.
Just a lazy prick, wasn't he? Like, he said he was like, look, Frodo, I've seen you. I didn't need to see you at the feast. Like, he has his own day-to-day routine, I think, in Rivendell. It actually goes to one of my hot takes, which is, I think Bilbo's in rehab for 17 years away from the ring. He's in recovery, like.
Yeah.
Some form of rehab, yeah, basically is. Yeah. To get unhooked from the ring.
Yeah, and it doesn't work either.
No.
So obviously, in the movies, great scene where Frodo is putting on the mithril vest and Bilbo gets a snap of the ring, obviously, and he's like, oh, I'd like to have a look at it one more time. And or whatever, he turns into a big ghoul.
Yeah, terrifying.
And in fairness, in the book, it's almost word for word. The conversation of like, oh, if only I'd like to have seen it one more time, or it's definitely in the movies the conversation. But I don't know about you lads. I didn't think this. We know so far, Tolkien can write horror, really fucking good at writing horror. This is not a horror scene.
No,
I thought this was just sad.
He turns into a little wrinkled creature, is how they describe it in the book.
Yeah,
Shadow comes between them, and he gets a bone.
Yeah.
I kind of looked for the horror in that, knowing what I should be looking for. But you're right. It wasn't actually that scary.
What do you think, Owen? The scene in the movie is pop-out horror. Peter Jackson's background, in fairness, was pop-out horror, But the book's not like that, I don't think. As we've seen...
The book kind of makes it seem depressing.
Yeah, Tolkien wants to show us something different here, and it's not a scare.
No, it's more of a sad moment that like they both realise that Bilbo...
He's poisoned.
Yeah, he's poisoned. He's lost to the ring. Well, nearly lost to the ring. Like he sees a shadow between them. It's like his soul... Bilbo's soul is lost to the ring. It's gone.
Yeah.
Bilbo has his outer body, but his soul is fucked. It's in bits.
Yeah.
Probably the only way it can be better is to go off to the
Undying Lands.
Yeah, whatever it is. But the funny thing I
know what
I
you're
read
gonna
is Frodo felt the desire to strike him.
Give him a dig.
Give him a slap.
Go at me. Hit me, slap it. Yeah.
I think a little reminder there, what's at stake? You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Bilbo, and we've just spent, a good couple of minutes there regaling in nostalgia from The Hobbit, which, if anything, is a tour de force for Bilbo, being, an incredibly brilliant main character. And anyone who's read The Hobbit will know Bilbo is a fucking legend in that book.
Yeah.
And that obviously, talking of Glowing, triggers all those memories. And it's not by accident then. The next fucking person we speak to is the man himself. And he's poisoned and he's a little creep, like, and Frodo has to stop himself from hitting him. So, I think it reminds us a little bit what the fuck's happening here.
Is that because Frodo has been poisoned to a slight extent himself and doesn't want him to get it? Or is it because Frodo knows what's at stake if he did get it? Like,
Yeah, he's fearing, isn't he?
It's what's going to happen to him, I think. Don't do drugs, kids. Don't do drugs.
He thinks he's done. He doesn't even know that Gandalf has more in store for him. Like, he thinks he's rid of the ring. Like, I know the film Frodo thinks, or maybe it wasn't as clear, that Frodo doesn't want any more to do with this. He's done his job, like.
Yeah.
And he's just like, right, well, at least I'll never get that way,
yeah, thank God.
Yeah.
They were saying, like, when we first meet Bilbo in the book, we don't see who he is at first. He's, like, sleeping in his cloak, but we see that he's actually fucking writing a poem or something. But...
like a Sith.
In the movies, as soon as Frodo sees him in Rivendell, he's aged 50 years.
Yeah.
And that's the way I've kind of seen him. I know it doesn't say it, but that's the way I portray him when I'm reading, because I'm like, he hasn't got the ring anymore, he can't stop aging, so he's probably aged 50 years in about 2. And he's a little creature, he just wrinkled raisin walking around.
I think maybe just park the movie a little bit, though. I understand what you're saying there, but in the movie, if you don't have the ring, you age, was what they implied. And that's obviously not mentioned here. And I think...
But Gollum didn't, did he?
That's true, yeah.
Gollum's 500 years old.
Yeah, that's why maybe the movie's a little bit more inconsistent as well. But what I mean is, what I think Bilbo here is showing that, when we meet him at the start, right, he gives Gandalf a bit of lip and then he walks out the door. But the damage is already fucking done. He's already lost his soul. And that's what makes the ring so fucking dangerous. Especially to Frodo, who think like, I can't wait to get rid of it. I mean, like, what this shows me is like, too late for you, fuck off. You know what I mean? It's like, once you're addicted to heroin, you're addicted to heroin. It doesn't matter.
Recovery after then, like 17 years he's been in Rivendell, right? 19 maybe?
Yeah.
And he's still... like, it's like sneaking in an agate. It's like sneaking in a spoon and a needle. It's like, give us a bit of...
Yeah.
And it's probably worse for Frodo as well, because he's been stabbed by a Morgul blade. Like, he's fucking already nearly passed through the other realms or whatever it is. Yeah. Bilbo had none of that. He just had the ring. So now fucking Frodo has some sort of task on his hands. Big fucking task.
It's for all these reasons I thought this chapter was class. Yeah. All these little intricacies. Couldn't stop thinking about what this meant, what that meant.
A lot of permutations.
Yeah. Any hot takes, lads? Oshin?
Well, it's not a hot take. It's just a lack of knowledge on my behalf. It kind of hints at it that Elrond's wife was killed by orcs or something.
Yeah, I've seen that.
What's going on there? I didn't know. It was like, oh.
Elrond's sons hang out with the Dunedain
to try and catch them.
To kill orcs.
Yeah.
Because...
revenge?
How about a revenge?
Yeah, because of the torture. How did they put it?
In the dens of orcs, she was tortured, yeah.
Yeah.
Did they say she was tortured or just murdered or killed or...
tortured and then died?
Well, she's not about anymore, and just them two hanging about, and Arwen just motherless and depressed or something, I don't know.
Do you reckon they go after the orcs and kill the orc men, but also the orc women and the children too?
Yeah, I think so. I mean...
I don't know if there is such things.
Yeah, I think potentially, and I think we should be absolutely okay with that. because they're not people.
Yeah,
They're fucking
I know.
orcs. Jesus Christ, murder them all.
Is there orc women and children?
I hate seeing things online about like the orcs were just they're people, and there was nice orcs and orcs who didn't want to go to war. It's like, no, you're not getting it. The orcs aren't a people. They don't have personalities.
That's why I love this shit. It's good guys and bad guys, right?
Yeah.
For God's sake,
So
maybe
clear
root
cut.
for the good guys.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't need hot takes.
Good guys are born, bad guys are created. And
Yeah.
like it was throughout the whole story, it's always been
And
that.
even Tolkien's trying to push us that way. It's like orcs live in dens. You know what I mean? Like a
animals.
pest.
Yeah.
And they're the fucking bad guys. I don't need to talk about like, oh, Aragorn actually goes out to commit genocide like Stalin. Like, fuck off. fucking good guys, bad guys. That's what I need. It's fucking easy and enjoyable. I don't need to fucking analyse everything fucking through the lens of socialism or whatever.
Tolkien didn't like. He said it last podcast.
Allegory.
Allegory.
Yeah, he hated it. He hated it. I mean, also, you could say the author is dead, which is true in a lot of ways. But if, he says, oh, this was nothing to do with World War One or World War Two. Like, yeah, but, I mean, you definitely lived through it, though, so.
Yeah.
You
You are a victim of your circumstance.
like it's all.
The
it's
conflict is there. It's consistent.
all- And what about you, Owen? Any hot takes?
Not really any hot takes, but
Tepid, you'd say?
not even tepid. It's just a little. You were on a collab recently on a podcast, Ross, were you?
It's a while ago now, Owen. For our fans listening, it'll probably be a couple of months ago.
Weeks and weeks ago. It was the Bad podcast. If you want to go back and listen, it's on our social media somewhere. But you said, and Gandalf said, that Sauron has werewolves, and he fucking does. And
He
Gandalf
does.
says this in the chapter. Like when I heard that when you were saying it, I was like, I thought you said werewolves as in you meant wolves, and you said werewolves, and you didn't mean to say werewolves. But you're bang on. Nail
Fucking
on the
right
head.
I was. Fucking
Nail on
right.
the fucking
You
head.
know me, shit.
Purebred werewolves.
Yes, next question.
Why can't they be rescue werewolves?
Well, I mean, he's breeding them and creating them, like,
here we
I
go.
think, that's...
My question is context, by the way.
Here we
The
go.
podcasters asked that question. Can they be rescued or purebred? It's like, why not both?
Yeah. Purebred
Okay,
doesn't
yeah.
mean they're not rescued or
Yeah.
what. But what I like werewolves. Does that mean that they like on a full moon they turn into wolves and they're just men the rest of the time? Like Beorn? Does he have lads like Beorn?
I've no
he's a
reason to
skin
believe...
changer.
Yeah, I've no reason to believe they're anything other than exactly what you think. They're not wargs, they're not skin changers, I think, What's the difference between a warg? Wargs and skin changers are in this universe, and he doesn't say that. He says werewolf.
Werewolf, yeah. So on a full moon, bang, once or however many times. There's a couple in February, I think. Fucking, they ravage in February, and that's that. Yeah.
Don't start a fight with him on a full moon, or the week before.
I spat me drink out when he said that. I just thought it was so funny. He's like, do they have rescues or do they have purebreds? And you're just like, werewolves. So good.
Yeah.
Right, lads, I think if there's nothing else, I suppose we leave it there. Paul, have you used all your hot takes, or have you any left in your back pocket?
He's about 20 minutes now of the Silmarillion and Numenorians.
I won't
and
go as far. I've talked enough.
Silmaril.
Arua
Let me
Iluvatar.
see.
So go on ahead, Bull.
I really think
go on,
songs, there's a bit where Frodo like
Go on ahead
passes
there,
out.
Bull. Go on.
There's a bit where Frodo...
You started there, Bull. Go on. Go on ahead. Sorry.
Can't hear you.
Oh, I'd love a cigarette. I have to listen to this. Right, go on.
Go on.
Did you notice the songs with Frodo? He like passes out halfway through a song and he wakes up halfway through another. But like I think songs are... this isn't really a hot take other than like I think songs aren't just singing a song and playing a bit of tunage. Like you literally get transported. Like we've already seen the songs are spells. I think every song that's written can be a spell in a way, because he was like transported into other lands straight away when he was like listening to their music. He didn't even understand half and he still was. And then when Bilbo, he comes halfway through, he didn't even know Bilbo was singing. And like I just feel like Frodo gets every fucking word even if he never understands the context, unlike me who has to fucking do his due diligence after reading it. That was just one part. Did you notice that?
Nice.
Yeah.
And
Nice. I just thought he was tired.
yeah, and it's easy to put it back that way, but I
full
just think
belly.
there's so many examples of the music being, actual spells and magic.
Well, like Tom Bombadil is like Mr. Spellmaster, and all he does is sing, and like that's how he does his spells.
He's manifesting his
That's
good
about
life
singing's a
of
powerful tool.
fresh cream and honey. You know, he's just singing about all the good things. He's making spells, you know. Manifest.
Right, very good.
So-
Tell you what, boys, I'm not looking forward to the next chapter.
No.
Oh, yeah.
Fun one.
Oh. This is a hot take. Elves don't give a shit about Sauron. Only half elves do.
Wow. I mean, obviously not. Glorfindel sitting there, but go on.
Well, where was Glorfindel when the Westfold fell? Where was
He was,
Glorfindel when the Pelennor Fields? You know?
He's literally a firstborn, so
Pelennor
you
Fields.
couldn't get more pureborn elf than this fella. Like, you could not get... He's the firstborn. Like, he's literally older than Gladriel, right? But she's not half elf either. But please, regale us with your nonsense, Paul.
It's a terrible hot take. This is why it's a hot take. I know it's not. I cannot confirm this, but it's just based. If I only went on films, you only see Legolas on the Pelennor Fields. I think the boys only helped out at Helm's Deep for the crack.
Is Legolas a half elf?
I don't. Who's his dad?
No, he's not. Thranduil.
Maybe not. But that's what I mean. He's the only
Thranduil,
one.
yeah.
There's no army of elves like every other time.
What about Helm's Deep?
That was just for the crack. Shits and giggles. But they're all pissing off. They're like, man, we've been through this. It's not our problem. We're fucking off back to the thing lands, the good lands, you know. And then only Elrond, who's a half elf, gives a shit. Like, where's Glorfindel when the Westfold fell?
Jeez, you've taken a serious license here, a hot take, to just like
That's what they are.
dispute Danielle nonsense, like Lord above. But fair play to you, that's what I suppose. That's your interpretation. Right, very good. Lads, I'm going to leave it there. I'm going to put the foot down. This has gone on too long. It's been great having you all. Of course, follow us there on the social medias. The Instagram is usually bopping there a little bit. We have some other ways.
Bopping.
Give us a like, give us a share, give us a review.
Thanks to all the patrons.
Thanks to all the patrons, sound men, sound women.
Especially Joe
sound-
Healy. Big up to Joe. Thank you very much.
And
Big
Cohen.
man, Joe.
And
Cohen.
Emma,
Our Dutch listener,
and
Cohen. You know who you are.
anyone else at all.
Come on.
Claire, thank
Come on,
you.
lads.
And yes,
Ross,
if
come on,
we've-
Ross.
Yeah,
Thanks,
if we've
Ross.
forgotten anyone, let us know.
Come on, lads.
Emma Duffy.
Um,
Come on, Emma. Thanks. Come on,
And we
lads.
probably will have more by the time this comes out. So thank you, future patrons as well. And yeah, we just leave it there. Right, goodbye from me and goodbye from the lads. Go on.
Bye, lads.
Bye.
Right, go on.
Thanks.
Go on. Fuck off.